Hello everyone, young and new, greetings bats, and I'm here to bring you another Final Fantasy XIV video. The last one was actually rather well received. It's the fastest growing video that I've put out, which is big for a very small, someone just starting off person like me, YouTuber. I mean, I'm already stumbling, so. Anyway, so that was well received. I did say I was going to do a Scions and City Leaders, which is Grand Company Leaders, video, and I will do that today. Now, as you know, I did skip A Realm Reborn, and that can lead to a few disadvantages, like not really getting connected as much to the characters, and not knowing the story as well. But the advantage to that is, where it was rather slow when I could not get connected to the game, I was able to get into the really good story of Heavensward. So I plan on going back to redo ARR when I'm more connected to the game, which is now. I actually just finished Shadowbringers main expansion, and I'm excited, so. Now, if you like this content, you can like and subscribe. As you can see, a random book appeared right there, like magic, so I wanted to talk about it just briefly. I am a dystopic urban fantasy writer, so my books will be in the link of my video, but I know what you're all here for, so without further ado, let's get into it. Now, you should know, from here on out, I will be giving spoilers throughout the entirety of Final Fantasy, including Shadowbringers and the ending of it. So keep that in mind, do not continue if you do not want Shadowbringers spoilers and every other Final Fantasy expansion. So the first Scion I wanted to talk about would be Thancred. I know he did a lot more in ARR, but I saw him first obviously in Heavensward. He was working with Kryl. And he was very interesting. I liked him at first quite a bit. When you got to Shadowbringers, though, he got a little weird. His obsession with Minfilia was weird. I couldn't understand it. It was like he raised her, I suppose. But he was not nice to Rain at all. What the new Minfilia ended up turning into. But he did turn that around, and it was very, very stressful playing as Thancred in that final battle against the general of Yulmore, so that was very interesting. And in the end, Thancred did turn into a really good father-like figure, I feel, for Rin, but he did a terrible job prior to that, and, it's ironic given Father's Day was just yesterday, but you get it. So, anyway, Thancred, he's on good terms with me. I like him a lot. I think he did, grow up. He had a really good character arc in Shadowbringers. I saw him quite a bit. He was pretty badass otherwise in the other expansions, so I really did like how he tanked for me in dungeons and stuff. So that was nice. But he was pretty badass with just leaping in and just, slamming his gunbreaker weapon or whatever into the main bosses, so that was pretty cool. Now, as for Yda, didn't really connect much to Yda. We found out her true identity in Stormblood. She was Alisaie. That's obviously a spoiler, but it's a good thing I said there were spoilers for those who haven't gone through Stormblood. Didn't make much of a difference for me, her taking her sister's name. I'm like, okay, cool, I don't see the big deal there, and why people were really upset is just, I don't know. I mean, like I said in my last video, Alisaie was okay. She wasn't great. She wasn't terrible in the end. As I said in my last video, Alisaie was okay. She wasn't great. She wasn't terrible. She had a good character arc in the end, but I'm not, the biggest fan. So, Yda would also count as Alisaie until she ended up taking over for Alphinaud, which was admirable. Obviously, she needed Raban's help quite a bit, which was great. I love Raban, but I have to put him off and to talk about until later, so yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, I probably would be more connected to her if I played ARR, but I wasn't, so. Now, when it comes to Papalymo, however you pronounce it, the Popoto, I thought that person's sacrifice was pretty interesting. Pretty devastating, very noble of that person. That's all I really have to say. I didn't get very attached to that character, unfortunately. Maybe I should have probably more. It's a Hachafront, again, I can't pronounce names probably, situation though, which I really should have talked about Hachafront more, but that's neither here nor there. I will eventually, when I go through again. But, he's a Popoto, he did a noble act. It was pretty good. I did feel a little bit sad when he was sacrificed. So, yeah. Now we get into the Scions that I feel a bit more strongly about. Really strongly, actually. Alphinaud. God damn it, Alphinaud. So Alphinaud, man, I love him. He's great. He's a great kid, but he will monologue like no tomorrow, Alphinaud. And it's like, especially when we're facing off against someone like Vathri, he's sitting there and I'm sitting here like, Alphinaud, we've gotta take action, buddy. Stop talking, and then boom. Vathri sprouts these little wings, and he flies off. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe while he was being, eating those sin eaters, we should probably have struck him down. But Alphinaud had to have his monologue. Now, there's a time and a place for Alphinaud's monologues, and some of them are really great, but he does make some really stupid decisions. Like, for example, in Stormblood, I don't remember if it was post-patch content or what, but when he went into the Empire itself, now we did meet Maximus through him, which was nice. I like Maximus, he's pretty cool. And learn more about Gaius and everything like that, but, that wasn't a good decision. It wasn't. Oh, it was Stormblood post-patch, that's right. That wasn't a good decision, Alphinaud. I'm just sitting here face-palming the entire time. I was glad the poor guy was okay. He very clearly is caring. But some of the decisions he makes, I'm just like, Alphinaud, what are you doing, buddy? He is growing into being a great diplomat, though. I mean, really, I am proud of him. He's grown a lot in Stormbringers, so I'm pretty happy for him. And again, that last part, when he was there for Alisaie, amazing. I just love that sibling bond that they have. Also, I am saving my all-time favorite top 3 Scions for the last, so yeah. But Alphinaud, he's a good kid in my book. I like him a lot. Oh, right, and I did start getting connected to him more in Heavensward. Like I said, I did start paying attention to the story and joining in Heavensward, but that solidified even further as we went. So he was kind of the first Scion that I really connected to, so it's a pretty fun fact there. So now we're gonna get into Tataru. Now, I don't usually like the Lalafell, I'm sorry, but, well, actually I'm pretty neutral on them, but I wouldn't really play one. But Tataru, I like her a lot. I really think she's very interesting. She was very entertaining in Heavensward. I did like her in Heavensward. She's a very, very valuable way to get information. She's really good at that, and I really like how it helped us through Heavensward. And then Stormblood, when we hung out with Cool Glasses guy, whose name, again, escapes me. If I don't have the names in front of me, I'm just going to, except for the Scions, of course, not remember. But, so, and I really liked how she was just chilling in Kagame the entire time, and changed her fashion and everything, so, and at the end of Heavensward, when she gave us the Scion's attire, it was so cool. It was so funny how she measured my character. I was playing my Ara Zayla Elias at the time, so I'm just like, you're getting his measurements, huh? That's interesting. So, I like her a lot. She's actually quite a lovely character. I always, she doesn't, like, get into the action, and that's okay. She's actually quite good. I always worry about her getting just really worried. I love her emotions whenever she's so excited. It's always very, exaggerated, but lovely. I love her enthusiasm. It is really great. So, Yugiri. I really like Yugiri. She's amazing, actually. Obviously, she's a Rayan in Ara, so I'm obligated to absolutely love her. She is one of my top favorites. I guess I don't mention her in my top toward the end, just because there's no particular reason, but she's a really good character. I love the silent ninja she's got going on. I just love how loyal she is, and how she became loyal to Doma, and she saw the issues rising up with the Empire, and how she dedicated herself to Hien, and went to look for him and everything. So again, I had met her, Heavensward and beyond, and so that's the only way I knew her. Again, toward the end of Heavensward is when I really started seeing her anyway, along with Nero, which was an interesting experience. Anyway, so Yugiri, though, throughout Stormblood, a very cool character. I did love just the gumption she had. She had just such a good energy to put up against Xenos, and man, I could rant about Xenos all day. He gives me very mixed feelings, but this is neither here nor there, because we're talking about the Scions. So Yugiri, though, very cool. Love how she's encompasses that silent killer. Loved learning about her lore when we visited the Rayan in that underwater area. I kind of wish we learned a bit more about the Rayan, though. When we were in Stormblood, we learned a ton about the Zayla. But I'm going to go back and do some side quests. But in terms of Yugiri and learning about her parents and her entire thing, she's really awesome. I always had a big smile whenever I saw her, and especially toward the end of Stormblood in that last battle, she was on that Yol, and I'm just like, yeah, you go, Yugiri! Amazing. It's just such a caring character, you know, and she cares a lot about the people, and flooding the palace she was fine with, it seemed like. So when Gosetsu is like, oh, well, we don't want to flood the palace, but you gotta do it to save lives, you know? So I love how she stuck there with it along with Yin. And we get to G'raha. So I did skip A Realm Reborn, but I did watch the Crystal Tower questline, and I got to grow a bit more attached to G'raha Tia. Now, this is a major Shadowbringers spoiler, something I just learned, but he was there with us throughout the entirety of Shadowbringers. I had predicted it. My lover tried to mislead me and say, no, it's not him, but it was him. And he is just such a caring person. Oh my goodness, he is such a good kitty, he is. I love his style, I love his look in general, but, you know, that aside, just all the self-sacrifice and everything. I mean, he accepted his responsibility. He was going to die for the Warrior of Light to send them back, and just to save everyone and everything. And and he didn't even care that he thought that he was going to be erased from existence. He was just there, a hero. And I didn't think he was going to betray us, but when he tried to mislead us to not care in the end there at Shadowbringers, when he's like, oh no, I'm going to travel the world, when it was pointed out by Urianger that, no, you can't do that. That was a nice attempt there, G'raha, to get us to hate you, and it failed miserably. I am so happy he is doing okay, though, and he ended up surviving in the end. My heart was breaking the entire time. The feels train in Shadowbringers is no lie, but G'raha, the Crystal Exarch, an amazing character and an amazing person, and I'm really eager to see how his story continues, and yeah, I just love him. Really cool. And now I brushed upon Estinien, who is a Scion, in my last video, but I will talk a bit more about him here. As I said, I was a bit tense about him in Heavensward at first. I'm like, man, you have such an attitude, but he is justified in having it, you know. He was very just combative against Yesili. At least I got her name this time. Iceheart, whatever. And I liked the two, how they clashed there. It was a very interesting dynamic, and how they kept on the back and forth, and it was frustrating. It was very frustrating, but again, very understandable. They're on two opposite sides, but they got over it in the end, and Estinien did very much come through. I was very worried about him when he was possessed by Nidhogg, or was Nidhogg, or however that fiasco went. Really happy when we rescued him. And then, just throughout Shadowbringers, we see he is basically becoming a Warrior of Light. Yes, I know, he probably doesn't have the Echo or anything like that, but just working against the Empire, though, is really cool to see. Really love his alliance with Gaius, who has such an interesting story as well, by the way. And I love the memes of, oh, well, is the Warrior in Light in trouble? Estinien to the rescue! I get the memes now, because he saved the Warrior of Light from that damn bastard Xenos. Well, Xenos being possessed by someone else. But anyway, same situation. Xenos now. Grr. Anyway. So, I do like Estinien. Lovely style. I love how he looks. And I am very excited about Endwalker and seeing him there. And I was so excited. I saw him with the dragon, and I'm like, oh, you got a friend now? It's awesome. I just love how he's come through, and his story has really come to fruition. And I really like how he got revenge against Nidhogg, too, after his family was butchered. But he was still able to realize that not all dragons were like that. So, really rich character, great development. Looking forward to working with him in the future, especially in Endwalker, so cool. And now we get into my top 3 Scions. So, number 3, Urianger. Where do I begin with him? He is hilarious. So, in Heavensward, toward the end, I was on edge. I'm like, you're gonna betray us, aren't you? And he kind of did, but not really. He did it with a purpose, to betray the Warriors of Darkness, trying to eradicate our world. he has always had all of these secrets, but it's always in favor of the Warrior of Light in Hinterland and everything, so it's always very cool. And he was so upset at the end of Shadowbringers, like, I'm so sorry for keeping this from you. And I'm like, Urianger, what are you talking about? It's fine. I understood entirely why he did that, and why Exarch Graha did that. It made sense to me, you know? So, and just, I really loved how Urianger was with the fairies, too. And he kind of knew about them. It was such a good fitting spot. I remember there was a side quest I did where I had to put flowers in his house and everything. It's just, that's awesome. And, you know, his way of talking is hard to follow sometimes, but, you know, I handle it. Seems like everyone around Urianger can understand what he's saying, and I'm pretending to sometimes, and other times I know what he's saying, so, you know. But I really love his style. He's been such a really cool Scion. He's got me through a lot, because I've done Duty Finder with the Scions a couple times, and he's just, I don't know what it is about him. I just love his style, how he is, and he's just such a good soul as well. Very intelligent too. I absolutely love how intelligent he is and how dedicated to learning and all of that he is. So definitely in my top Scions. My third top, of course, such a good character. I could gush about him. Fangirl, rather. But, yeah. Alright, number 2, second best Scion to me, my favorite, is Y'shtola, the good kitty. And what a good kitty she is. I love her sass. Her sass is the best thing ever. And she's just such a good person. Just throughout everything. I mean, she's died, what, twice now? First in the beginning of Heaven's Ward after sacrificing herself after the cave-in, and everything like that. I love her connection to Matoya. Matoya is, again, one of my favorite characters. Love Matoya. And she takes after Matoya. I noticed that a lot. And she's just such a good character. She's a good mother cat, as people say. Y'shtola is not afraid to sass at all. Anyone. Absolutely love that about her. She knows what to say. She definitely knows when to say it. And she's not going to back down. And I love that about her so much. Something I did not mention in the last video, one of the best burns ever in the history of burns, is Little Sun against Magni. Y'shtola is just like, fuck you, man. I absolutely love her. Love this ass. And then her expedition in Ratika, very cool. I absolutely loved how connected she was with the people there and learning all about them. She was clearly very caring. I think her second death, well, she has 9 lives or something, was when she jumped into that giant gaping hole and survived, and ended up throwing the antidote to save everyone else from the poison. And I thought that was very noble of her. She doesn't hesitate. And of course she gets pulled out of the aether currents again. I feel like that's going to be a recurring thing. Well, hopefully not. Let's keep Y'shtola from doing that. But, you know. I also love how she can see the aether. That's a really cool thing that she can do. And was able to tell the Warrior of Light about basically the issues and everything that ended up happening, but it was cool in the end there, at the end of Shadowbringers, learning, oh, your aether's back to normal, and I just let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. Yeah, Y'shtola is not afraid to say what she means, and I absolutely love her for it. And now, the ultimate Scion, my absolute favorite, has to be Alisaie. I love her. She is amazing every time, like, she talks. So, I was a bit hesitant when we met her in Heaven's Ward. She had been poisoned by Ronda Ray, I believe. I think that I have her name right. She was the hunter. She got poisoned. And that was the first time we met her. And I was very suspicious of her at first. I'm like, why the heck is she following these people around? What is she doing? Then we learned she was going up against people. And then we learned that she is even bigger of a sassy person than Y'shtola, and that's hard to do. But she's also extremely caring. Now, Alisaie, she does not care about politics. She's not like her brother at all. I love the contrast she has to her brother. She's like, we gotta get this. We gotta get the action going. There's no time for this. Let's just go. Go, go, go. I love Alisaie so much. I love how she's a red mage. I believe that's what her job is. She's definitely got the fence. And just how wonderful and just how much of a good heart she has. She's just, I could gush about her all the time. So the first time I cried in Final Fantasy was with Gabu and that entire situation. And Alisaie just, she didn't give up hope on that character, on that little kobold, and I didn't give up hope either. I actually hope that we see Gabu again, and hopefully that resolves. I really want to see his story come to fruition. But it was at that moment I knew that Alisaie had a wonderfully deep heart, and then just our adventures continued throughout the entirety of Final Fantasy, and she just kept being amazing. Like, every time she spoke, I was just like, Alisaie, I love you. Now, at the end of Shadowbringers, when we were fighting Hades, or, you know, Emmett, Alisaie had just launched forward. I gasped. I was like, oh my god, you go, Alisaie, you go! All of the Scions did do that. All of the Scions present, I mean, did jump forward, but just when I thought no one else was gonna stand up, Alisaie lunged forward. And despite all odds, she just slammed her fence into it, and she tried. I mean, she didn't succeed, but she did help quite a bit, so. And just how much she cares about her brother. But she's also very grounded. When Alphinaud ended up in various situations where we thought that he was in a deep amount of trouble, she was extremely worried, to the point where I was thinking she was going to go off track, but she's like, you know what? You're right, we need to focus. He will be okay probably. We need to get this done. So she's really good at actually remaining focused, and despite just how emotional she can get, keep going. Now that's not to say she hasn't made some bad decisions, or was a bit snippy or snappy toward other characters at times, but I found myself agreeing with her far, 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 far more than disagreeing with her. So Alisaie, absolutely my favorite. Love her. And I feel like I'm going to continue to absolutely love everything she does. And I am eager to see her story for sure. More of her story, I mean. And I will do a quick overview of the city leaders, not so quick for one of them because I want to talk extensively about a certain one, but I'm leaving him for last. Lady M and Limsa. I really got to know more about the city leaders, or, you know, Grand Company leaders, when they were talking to the Emperor at the end of Stormblood. I'm like, guys, this is not going to work. He's not going to listen. I was right. I was right the entire time. I'm always right, of course, obviously. Anyway. But she stood tall. She faced off very well against the Emperor, I felt. I didn't get as connected to her and haven't because I didn't go through A Realm Reborn. But I like her style, I like her look, and I'm eager to learn more about her when I do go back. We've got the Sultana, Nanamo. I did learn a lot about her toward the end of Stormblood and her thoughts on the Alamegan refugees. And it was interesting how she did pay a lot of attention. Some of her decisions I was iffy on, but I mean, I'm a very charitable person and just want to help people, so I suppose her decision was right with going to that rich dude and everything like that. But in the end, the decisions were very good, and her heart is in the good place. She very much cares about her best friend, Raban. That reunion toward the end there made me cry about Raban's decision. I did not like that one part, though, when Nanamo ended up saying, you weren't going to tell me about any of this? Because it was kind of guilt-trippy, you know, I didn't like it, but it worked out in the end. She's still a good person, so it did work out in the end. Kani Senna, Gridania is one of the best places in game, my favorite, so obviously that Grand Company leader is cool. I liked her in Heaven's Ward and how she helped out in that regard a little bit with the Moogles. I don't have much to say other than I think she's just a really mysterious person, I feel like. I don't know what's going on with her sons or whoever they are, but they also have horns. And I'm coming from World of Warcraft, so I initially was like, is she a dragon? Because she's got those backward horns. Then I was wondering, is she an Ara? Because she's got horns, but she's got no tail. So I don't know what she is, but she's cool. And I like Gridania, so I like her by default. And the final character, city leader now, technically, of Alamigo I want to talk about is Raban. He is one of the most badass characters of Final Fantasy. Absolutely love him. Now, throughout Heaven's Ward, we see him lose his arm, unfortunately. Well, that's a euphemism. He gets his arm ripped off. And that entire just terrible situation of the caving in and the poisoning of the Sultana, she makes it out in the end. And I really liked learning about Raban's story in Stormblood as well. I felt terrible for him, but he rose to the occasion, and he's just a great character. He was not going to bow. He defeated a bunch of those people in the arena, and he's just such a caring person too. I seem to tend to lean toward the really caring Scions and city leaders. But he's also got a really good head on his shoulders. He's extremely intelligent, Raubon. He knows what he's doing. He's such a good general. Of course, after leading Ul'dah, and then of course switching to Alamigo, Lyse definitely needed his guidance. I think that was a very good decision. I actually did not believe that it was going to happen. I'm like, no, they're not going to change up a city leader like that. They did. And I was happy for him. I really did end up really enjoying his decision there. And he was able to go home and just continue to help out. And throughout the entire time, he did not bow. He listened to other people as well. He wasn't too stubborn. And just the Bull of Alamigo, very appropriate title. It was very enjoyable fighting him in Heavensward when I was representing Ishgard. I wasn't as attached to him in Heavensward as I was going through Stormblood. And yeah, so very rich character, very good. I love him and his story, and I think he was very well written. And that is all. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my babbling. I had a good time with this. I just sat here, looked at the names of characters, and gushed. Up next is my villains video. I'll be talking about villains, and yes, I will delve into Xenos quite a bit more. Again, very mixed feelings on that character. I hate the mixed feelings he gives me, but that's a talk for another day. Like I said, I finished the main expansion content, and I will be going to post-patch for Shadowbringers. Absolutely loved it. Feels train like crazy. Everyone was right. As I said in the beginning, Bats, if you liked this, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment about what you think. What are your top 3 favorite Scions, actually? I'd like to know. Also, give me a reason as to why. If you'd like me to talk about any particular character in the future, also let me know. And have a nice night or day, whatever it is for you. Enjoy your time in Final Fantasy and whatever video games you happen to find yourself in.